Today's all about snapper, and in big parts of our coastline, it's one of our most popular species of fish to chase. Today I'm going to show you 3 of my favourite methods for catching a few. When it comes to bait fishing for snapper, there'll be one technique which has probably caught me more fish than any other, and it's called float lining. All you need, 2 outfits. First one, rigged sliding sinkers down on the hook. First one's a slightly smaller sinker, next one's slightly heavier, and I'll explain why in a minute. But first, let's look at how we rig our baits. Very simple rig. Sliding sinker down onto hook of your choice. Mustards, Gamakatsus, plenty of options on the market. What I do like to have is a solid sharp hook that allows me gape once it's in the bait. Very simple. When I'm doing this, I like to start through the tail of the bait, pull your hook right the way through, and then rig in through the head, eyes of the bait or the head of the bait, like so. And the reason I like to rig them that way is that they swim head down through your burley trail, which makes them attractive and also aerodynamic in the water. Having done that, our first rod, lighter sinker. What I want to do, it's the rod I'm going to pitch out the side of the boat and feed out. I'm going to rig up this other rod exactly the same way. It's got a slightly heavier sinker. I'm going to throw that as far as I physically can behind the boat, put it in the rod holder, engage it, lighten off the drag. The idea with that heavier sinker is it's going to slowly let that bait drift down through the burley trail and let fish come along and eat it. The other bait is supposed to look like a piece of the burley. I'm going to feed it out and let it replicate stuff that the fish are seeing in my burley trail. All in all, a bit of a rounded approach to catching your fish, but very, very effective. The key when you're float lining is to continually feed that line out through your fingers. Let it get to what you think is mid-water column, and then occasionally engage, let the bait sit there. If there's no bites after a while, continue letting it out. To the point where you've let a lot of line out, if there's no bites, wind it up, do it again. Oh yes. Oh yes. Had 2 rods going out the back, which is very easy to do when you're fishing like this. And the other rod just got baited. I missed a fish on it. I looked over the other one. I thought, maybe there's a bit of a bump, picked it up, and away we go. Oh, beautiful. There we go. Oh, I love it when the plan comes together. Skirted jigs are a great way to catch snapper that are schooled up and looking for a feed that comes drifting past them. These days, plenty of brands on the market. Just look for weights that'll suit the depth of water you're going to be fishing, and something nice and skirty, a couple of cool colours. Way to fish them is incredibly easy. Find your fish and then drop down to whatever depth those fish are. You can catch fish on skirted jigs in any depth from 20 metres, 60, 70, 80 metres of water. They're a great option for fish that are looking for a little bit of movement in a bait. What you want to do, get down to the fish. Having got down to where you think the fish are, engage it, very, very slowly wind through them. If you don't get any bites, drop it back, keep repeating the process. What you'll find is those fish will come in and have those little bumps and taps and gradually load up on the rod. It's a game where you don't want to strike at fish. Just let the rod do all the work. A lot of anglers get the lure down to where the fish are, put it in the rod holder, adjust the drag, let the rocking of the boat do the rest of the work. You want to go snapper fishing, make sure you've got a few skirted jigs in the tackle box. 70 metres of water, reasonably deep for chasing snapper, but the technique I'm using, easily applicable whether it's in bay waters, shallow offshore, or out here in 60, 70 metres of water. And today, a range of soft plastics, different stables. I've got some gulps, some Z-Mans on board, plenty of scented plastics out there will work very well when you're using this. The trick is getting your jig head weight right and the size of plastic the fish want on any given day. So I've got 6, 7 and 4-inch plastics. At the moment the fish are loving the 4-inch, and all I'm doing is selecting the right jig head weight to suit the current out here. I haven't got too much current today, so I'm lightly just fluttering a 5/8 ounce jig head down there and putting in front of fish that are coming through my burley trail. Strong days of current, get heavier jig heads. Just keep it down amongst those fish, you'll be catching them in no time. Speaking of which, let's get to action. This is a very passive way to fish soft plastics. A little bit of current running away from the boat. Using medium weight spin gear, braided line, flick my jig head in soft plastic 5-10 metres behind the boat. Get it to start sinking. Quite often while it's sinking, pop it in the rod holder, every 5 minutes or so, handful of burley. Burley goes in. Size of your burley always dictated by the current strength. If you've got strong current, bigger pieces of burley just to get down to where those fish are. You ideally want them coming up off the bottom to start meeting your burley and your soft plastic. Then it's a case, just slowly keep working that jig head down to the fish. As it flutters down, it'll look very attractive, and then very actively watch your braided line. If it suddenly speeds up, it means the fish has grabbed it. Engage the reel and strike, and then do your maths. As it gets closer to bottom, gradually start holding that line, letting it sit in the current, give it a little bit of a jiggle. Nothing happens, keep feeding it out. Like I said, passive and effective. It's change of seasons at the moment. It's a great time of year to chase snapper. Today, I'm using a bit of a hybrid technique. I'm using soft plastics, but I'm using them a lot how you would fish a bait. In terms of I'm positioned on top of fish that I've sounded up. I'm offshore in some deeper water. I'm using a burley trail, and I'm casting soft plastics out and letting them drift through my burley trail. Oh yes, splendid looking fish. This is why so many of us enjoy right around Australian coastline, chasing these. They look fantastic. He's lit up. Grab the little 4-inch soft plastic. Coming through my burley trail looking for an easy feed. Took a liking to a little pink coloured softie. Beautiful, beautiful fish.